Hey, what's going on, you guys? JPB Productions here, and today I will be reviewing episode 10 of Survivor 43. So, this episode, I have a lot to say about it. I think this was really Noelle's breakthrough episode as well as her boot episode, which is really sad. But I'm going to talk about the challenge, the reward challenge, very soon. I think it happened very, very early in the episode, so I think I'll talk about it probably really soon because there wasn't much that happened before that. So I'll get to that. But this episode was it was a really really good episode in a really sad way. It was sad to see Noelle have that moment and then just go home in the same episode. But yeah, I'll start with right after Tribal Council. So they get back from Tribal Council, are like, okay, James was pissed, big move, and then they all come back in, and then they see that Ryan was voted out, and they didn't seem too surprised. I think Owen was like, wow, or something, but it wasn't like anything shocking. I don't think anyone was like shocked to see Ryan go home. I think they kind of had like the same reaction when they saw James gone. We're like, I don't think that they were like flabbergasted. I think that they were like, okay, well, it's gonna be Cassidy or James. I think they kind of assumed deep down that they, like that. No, not Cassidy or James. I think they kind of assumed it was going to be Owen or James that was going to go home. Which those were the two that were on the chopping block, and they voted James out, and they didn't seem too surprised when they saw James on the jury. And when they got back to camp and saw Ryan was gone, they didn't seem too shocked either. So I thought James and Ryan from the edit were a very predictable boot, but I think even if you were out there, it wasn't like too surprising. So right after that, we go to the reward challenge, and Jeff explains it. He explains everything, and they're running the challenge, and everyone's going, and you see Noelle was rather behind. She was on the balance beam. She was struggling. She was having a hard time, and I don't want to like ruin the moment, but like there was a little bit of luck with that last part. You could get lucky, and you could land it. However, very very emotional moment. It was like I was so happy for her. I really was. I mean, like she was on that balance beam for quite some time, and everybody else had gotten to the final stage like very very quickly, and she was there, and she kept on stumbling and falling, and she didn't let it get to her. She didn't give up, and she got to that last part, and then she nailed it. And not only, and this wouldn't be as emotional if it was a challenge that where running was like the main focus, where speed was like more focused. Maybe you have to throw some stuff. It has nothing to do with her legs. But the fact that she literally had an artificial leg, and part of this challenge was a balance beam, which should be the hardest thing to do if you have a prosthetic limb, right? What's harder than that? What's harder? Nothing's harder than that. It's the hardest thing you can do if you have a prosthetic limb. And then she wins a challenge with a prosthetic limb. And then she lands it. She's the last one to get there. And she just like breaks down crying. And it really does show like you can have a setback, you can have a disability, and you can thrive, and you can get over something and be the best at something when everything's telling you that you can. I mean, I don't think that somebody that is like born into nothing can't be extremely successful. You can have bad circumstances and still succeed, and that's what we saw Noelle do. And I was so happy for her, so happy for her. It was a great moment. And I mean, like, I honestly kind of thought it would feel a little bit like, the Cirie moment on the balance beam in Game Changers, where, like, she still loses, but Jeff is, like, sitting there for, like, a while, or standing there for a while, and he's, like, just, like, interviewing her of, like, what did it feel like to be there? But you persevered, and you got over the balance beam. You didn't win the challenge, but you got over it. You conquered it. Or maybe if somebody else had won the challenge, Jeff would have been like, we will stay here with you, Noelle, through this so that you can conquer this balance beam. I was like really scared that we'd kind of get a cringeworthy moment like that, but she gets through the balance beam and she wins the challenge. Amazing Survivor moment. And honestly, this might be a hot take. This might be a really hot take. I think it's the best challenge moment in the history of the show. What tops this? I don't think anything else tops this. I really don't. What tops this? The final immunity challenge in Palau? Nothing tops this. Tell me one challenge moment that's better than this. You got anything? Final immunity challenge of Borneo? I don't know. I think this is the best challenge moment in the history of the show. It was emotional. It was unpredictable. It was inspirational. It was phenomenal. It was an amazing challenge moment. The best moments in the history of the show either happen at camp or they happen at tribal council. This one happened at a challenge, and she wins. She wins the reward. It was a big reward too. It's something that there is no loved ones visit this season, but this is like the next best thing. You get letters and some food. You got the sanctuary reward, and I was really happy for her. So she picks two people, and they were really they were really emotional about it. Sammy gets his letter, Owen gets his letter, and it was a great moment for them. And we had that whole moment. I think that they were planning on splitting the vote between Cassidy and Carla when they were there. So that was something that was talked about a little bit. And so we got all that. And they get back to, so Owen was actually with Noelle and was down with this plan, it seemed like, whereas Sammy was kind of just like playing both sides, and people are starting to not really trust Sammy. They're saying that he's like flipping back and forth, he can't be trusted, and he was kind of getting this like winner's edit at some point. I think he might be going home this next week. I don't think he's making it to the end anymore. I mean, they're showing him actively as being someone who is shady. I don't think somebody like that is making it to the end. And if they do get to the end, are they an FTC loser? But also, it kind of seems like Sammy's been a little bit too dominant to be an FTC loser. So it's like, is that really going to happen? I don't know. I don't think so. I think he's just not going to make it to the end. And I actually think he might be going home this week. That's actually what I think is the most likely thing to happen. So, Sammy was just playing both sides. They get back from the reward, and this idea of splitting the vote between Cassidy and Carla was talked about, and it ended up not actually being what the vote was. So we get to the challenge, and Cassidy ends up winning it. So this kind of foiled plans too, but by Cassidy winning immunity, let's just say like neither Cassidy nor Carla wins the challenge. They probably don't split between Cassidy and Carla, because after Cassidy won, they didn't just throw all the votes onto Carla. Unless, of course, they knew that Carla had an idol, which apparently it's public knowledge. They didn't make it public knowledge when Owen was talking in the final 13 episode about who had what. But apparently everybody knows Carla has an idol. So, yeah. I mean, maybe the plan was to vote Carla, and, a lot of people were like, oh, we're gonna throw a majority on Carla, minority on Noelle, and then like too many people got cold feet and they split their vote. They changed their votes to Noelle in order to dodge the idol. I don't think that happened. I think they wanted Noelle out, because I don't think anybody particularly thinks that they can beat Noelle at the end. I guess they just thought, prosthetic limb, she beats all of us. Too good of a story, especially after she won the reward, right? Like, she does have a pretty good story. She displayed a high level of confidence out there. She was playing pretty well. She got left out of that Justine vote, which is bad on her resume, but who cares about resume when you have a story like Noelle did? Jury cares about story. People talk about resume all the time. It's a very overused term. In order to win Survivor, you got to get to the end with people that you can win against. That's the game. That's how it works. So the jury cares a little bit more about your story, and Noelle has the story. So, I mean, if I was out there, I wouldn't want to sit next to Noelle. I'd assume that she'd have the best chance of winning. So, yeah, I didn't blame them for the move. But yeah, we have, so yeah, Cassidy wins immunity. And I'm starting to think Cassidy is your winner, honestly. They're like kind of hiding her, and like, I'm thinking based off of the edit that we're seeing, they're trying to hide the winner, and I'm starting to think maybe the final three is her, Cody, and Gabler, because that's the only final three where I actually see Cassidy winning, where it's like Cody and Gabler are the two people out there that aren't taken seriously. Cassidy is taken seriously, but she's not as seen as much of a threat. And then you have Sammy, who's really threatening. You have Carla, who's really threatening. You have Jesse, who the edit's trying to make you think that the people out there don't know how threatening he is. But I feel like they're going to catch on, because Omar was getting a very similar edit, right? Where it's like, he's showing the audience that he is a threat, but do they really know that out there? Maybe not. But I think that Jesse's someone who, that he might just come out of his shell a little bit more, and they might realize, he's a threat. So, and then you also have Owen, who the edit tells me he's not an FTC maker. So I'm not even going to bother talking about that. The dude's not making it to the end. The edit is starting to show that, and like I was thinking maybe he'd have like some sort of type of winner's edit. His edit was really weird in this episode. Where like he's not winning. Like I don't think he can win anymore because he just had a very bizarre edit in my opinion. So yeah, I think that his winning chances are kind of shot. So I'm starting to think that like based off of the edit that we're seeing, Cassidy is your winner, and she's gonna sit at the end with Cody and Gabler because that's the only way that she can win. I'm thinking like Sammy 7, Owen 6, Carla 5, Jesse 4. Maybe like Cody wins final immunity, throws himself in fire with Jesse and wins, and then Cassidy ends up winning the game. So I think that's what I see happening right now. So right after Cassidy wins immunity, so first immunity win of the season, we get back to camp, and the idea of voting Carla comes up immediately. And then Jesse has this confessional where the editors, at first I thought it was funny, kind of funny, like, yeah, they're trying something new here, number 1, first step. And then it proceeds, and it's like, second step, this, third step, and then they zoom in on Gabler. And I'm like, so you're telling me that Noel's going to go home. You're not going to do all this and have Noel not go home. And also, you're going to show Jesse in a super positive light thinking that I'm actually going to think he's going to win? He's not going to win. It's too obvious of a winner. I know that what you editors are doing, you want us to think, oh, Jesse's going to win. Look at him. He's a badass. Fallen angel. That's what I think is going to happen with him. He screams, barely misses the end. I don't know why the editors did this. They're making it so obvious that Jesse is not your winner. And they didn't have to do that. They could have done a better job at making us think that Jesse is your winner. You know, with Omar, good job editors. A lot of people thought Omar was for sure your winner. Whereas with Jesse, I now think that they are trying too hard to make Jesse your decoy winner. And I think that they got caught. I think the editors got caught. They did this whole 3 steps thing. And it didn't really pan out too well, I think, from the fan base's perspective, where I think now people are like, Jesse's not winning. It just can't happen at this point. So that's how I feel about that. I don't think Jesse can win anymore. So they all vote Noel out. I don't think everyone particularly wanted to do it. I think that, like, it would have been better for Cody and Jesse's game maybe to vote for Carla, just to try and flesh out the idol. Or, like, if she plays it and senses something's off based on them acting differently because they're planning on voting for her. Maybe she plays it, Noel goes home anyways, but at least you flesh out an idol. You know, by throwing majority on Noel and then second most votes on Carla, you're keeping an idol in the game. So I actually think they should have thrown majority vote on Carla, even if they, and they, as I'm more so talking about Cody and Jesse, I think that they should have thrown majority vote on Carla, even if they wanted Noel gone. And then they can get Noel to go home by Carla playing the idol. But it's not as simple as that. It's a little bit more complicated than that. It's not super easy to split votes, especially at Final 7, because you're putting a lot of trust in a lot of different people, and things have to go exactly one way, and if it doesn't go that way, then it's going to screw things up. But yeah, Noel ends up going home. So obvious because of the whole steps thing. But I mean, sometimes like the best moments have been obvious, Boots. I mean, this wasn't very riveting. I wasn't on the edge of my seat at all. I knew Noel was going to go home. The editors didn't try and hide it in any way. That was a little boring, but still a very emotional episode. This was kind of like Noel's breakthrough episode and her boot episode, which is really unfortunate. But she was fun to watch in the time that she was in the game, and I was excited. I was excited to, you know, see what was going to happen after she won the reward and see if she was going to have like maybe a breakthrough. But I assumed nobody was going to want to take her to the end. I was really hoping this wouldn't be her last episode, but it was. And she goes home. This is it for her. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on the episode. I don't really have much else to say. I think I've covered most of what I'd like to say. So yeah, the whole steps thing I thought was kind of strange. It was such an obvious vote on Noel that like there wasn't much else that was happening. I know that Gabler and Carla had one really quick conversation to try and flip the vote and like, you know, try and like blindside Cody in like some crazy way, or just split up Cody and Jesse because they were, you know, controlling the game, and that didn't end up not like holding much weight because they made the plan too close to tribal. I think that they were like considering doing that, and then I guess production was just like lockdown, and then they had to go to tribal. But I think like Gabler and Carla, I think, entertained the idea of flipping on Cody and Jesse, and it was just made like too close to the vote where it couldn't happen. So yeah, that's everything that I have to say. I think that yeah, Sammy 7, Owen 6, Carla 5, Jesse 4, Gabler 3, Cody 2, Cassidy 1. So I think is the most likely thing to happen right now. That's what I kind of see happening. And yeah, I mean it's changing every episode. Where I'm still starting to think like that Cassidy is your winner, that Cody is going to make FTC, that Gabler is going to make at least Final Four, that Owen is not making finale, and Sammy is kind of maneuvering all over the place. I still think he can win. I still think he can be an FTC loser, and I think that he could go home really any time before the end. I don't think he's gonna be Fallen Angel, but he can go home like any time before the end. So there's a lot of different things that can happen. Looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. We're the finale's in 2 weeks, so we have an episode tomorrow, and then 2 weeks later, so 15 days from now. So there's only 3 episodes left, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to play out. Yeah, I'm JPB Productions. See you guys. Thanks for watching.